Good morning and welcome back to my kitchen. This morning I'm going to make Brussels sprouts 3 different ways. We have Brussels sprouts throughout the year in our house because myself and my mother-in-law love Brussels sprouts. So Christmas I try to do something a little bit different with them to jazz them up a bit. I've got one of my old favourites here, which is Brussels sprout puree with fresh nutmeg. I've got butternut squash and fried Brussels sprouts in stock, absolutely gorgeous, this one. And then I've got this one here that my friend Anne sent me the recipe for, and it's crispy bacon with red onions, garlic, sprouts and Worcester sauce. So I'm going to start off with the one that takes the longest. So butternut squash. Now you can buy these already chopped up in the supermarket. You don't have to buy fresh ones, you can buy them already done. But I just wanted to show you, I just use a peeler. I chop it up small to make it easier to handle, and then I just use the peeler to peel the skin off it, because you can be daunted a little bit by the size of a butternut squash. And then I'm going to cut it in half, and I want small pieces because they look like little jewels, I think, in with the Brussels sprouts. So I'm going to cut them up small. And the smaller you cut them, the quicker they cook. So you don't have to take too long. I almost forgot them this morning and burnt them. But so we want little small dice of butternut squash, and it's a lovely colour, butternut squash. And then I'm going to spray oil. Thank God for spray oil. All of the dishes that I've just shown you are all free on Slimming World. So there's no sins. So I'm just going to pop those on there. And I'm going to shake a little bit of paprika on it to it. Just a little bit. Don't want to make it too spicy. Don't want the paprika to take over the flavour of the butternut squash. It's just to add a little bit of depth to it. And then I'm going to add a little bit more spray oil and pop them in a very hot oven. It takes about 10 minutes just to roast them until they come until a little bit caramelised, not too much. Then my second one is my puree. So I'm going to put my Brussels sprouts on in boiling water. And it's best to cook them in boiling water. Anything that grows above the ground is in boiling water. Anything that grows beneath the ground, you cook it in cold water. So I've got my Brussels sprouts there, and I'm going to let them cook away. Okay. Then for the one with the butternut squash, all I did was quarter my sprouts, because you want them to cook quite quickly, because we're going to finish these off in the pan. So just carefully cut them into quarters. You can buy frozen Brussels sprouts if you want, and just because they're pre-cooked and they will cook pretty quick in the pan, so you don't need to chop them up if you want. But I like the fresh ones at this time of the year because they're in season. Okay, then here I've got the one with the bacon in it. So I'm just, while that's cooking there, to get my bacon one on the go. So I've got my red onion that I've just sliced. You can use a normal onion, a white onion, a brown onion if you want, but I love the colour that the red onion gives. So pop my pan on. Oops. And spray oil again. There's no need to use normal oil, so that's what makes it so good, that it's sin free. And then I'm going to pop some garlic in there, and it's just diced garlic. Now you can use freshly diced garlic if you want, but I buy the bags of garlic from Iceland already diced, and just keep them in the freezer, and I just grab a spoon or two out of it when I want to, and then it saves all the preparation, but also saves on wastage, because you're not wasting fresh garlic. So it's really handy that way. Pop that in there. And then with my bacon, I find that the bacon medallions, again, these are free on Slim and World, so try and get the ones without the fat. You can take off the extra fat if you want around the edge, but I find these difficult to cut with a knife, so I use the scissors. And I have scissors especially just for cooking. These are not the ones that Aidan uses as well. And then just chop that up. My Brussels sprouts will be coming to the boil there now, so I only want to cook them. I don't want them to be really mushy to start off with, because I'm going to puree them. Just wash my hands. So I'm just going right. So I've got in here. I've got my red onion, my garlic, and my bacon, and I'm just going to fry that off. Now I want the bacon nice and crispy because it tastes better. So I'm just going to let that fry off there while that's cooking away. And then for the one with the bacon in it, I need shredded Brussels sprouts, and all I've done is just chop them really fine because I want it to look nice and shredded, like a shredded cabbage really. Okay, in here I've got my stock, so I've got just half a stock cube and 120 ml of water, and that's to help to cook the Brussels sprouts for later. So my sprouts in here, cooking away. So I'm just frying off my bacon, the red onion. I just need to be careful not to burn it because we don't want the burnt flavour on the Brussels sprouts. But I want the bacon to be crispy and we want the onion to be cooked. So I'll just move that around. And then I'll just keep an eye on the Brussels sprouts here. I did put them on earlier to start them off, so they should be nearly cooked. And again, you could add other vegetables to this as well if you wanted to have Brussels sprouts and something else. Some people add chestnuts, but if you add chestnuts to it, you have to sin the chestnuts. So it's because your Christmas vegetables on Christmas Day, and we all like a treat, but I prefer to spend my treats on my chocolate, and your vegetables can add up. Because I was having a look in Aldi yesterday, and their tray of cauliflower cheese, a tray of it was 8 sins, and so that's about 2 sins a spoon. And the other one that I was looking at yesterday as well was the garlic potatoes we love in our house, but it was 15 sins for a tray of garlic potatoes, and that was, you know, 1 spoon was going to be 3 sins. So if you just have potato and cauliflower cheese, you've already used up 5 sins. But you can make your vegetables tasty without having to add loads of cream and loads of butter. So just let that cook away there. Now once these are cooked, so you want them nice and soft, I'm just going to turn them off. Careful the hot pan. Move that over there. And I'm just going to drain them off. Make sure you drain all the water off because we don't want soggy Brussels sprouts. Just move that around so you can see what I'm doing. Again, I'm just keeping an eye on this. I don't want it to burn, but I want it to be crispy. And I've put my Brussels sprouts in here. I'll put them in a bowl or in a jug, and then I'm just going to use my food processor just to mash them up, to puree them. If you haven't got a food processor, you can just use a potato masher. It'll do the same job. I love how green these are. Now, as you can see, that's all stuck together and it's quite stiff. So I'm just going to add a tablespoon of Greek yogurt. Take that off. And I'm going to add some nutmeg. Now, you can buy the nutmeg already ground, or you can use, I love fresh nutmeg. And it's definitely worth going to the trouble of grating fresh nutmeg in here, because it adds that, it gives a beautiful flavour. I like loads of nutmeg, but you can put into it what you like. And then a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, just for a bit of seasoning. And then the garlic, the Greek yogurt will loosen the sprouts off the machine, so it's easy. And there we go. Take that out. There we've got our puree. And again, I used to make this with cream, and you can make it with cream if you want instead of the yogurt. But if you make it with cream, you have to sin it. Okay, so that's my pureed Brussels sprouts there. Now, to finish off, the one with the bacon, pop it back on there, smaller ring. And in here I'm just going to add my shredded Brussels sprouts. You could do this with cabbage if you didn't like Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are only small cabbage, but if you weren't keen on Brussels sprouts, you could do it with cabbage. I'm going to add a little bit more spray oil so that it doesn't stick to the pan. It's worth investing in a good non-stick pan. I've had a few over the years, but this one, the stone one, is definitely the best one that I've bought, and it cleans really well. So I'm going to fry off, because the sprouts are so fine when you shred them. It doesn't take long to cook. Now all these dishes can be made in advance, because I'm going to pop these now into containers and label them and pop them in the freezer. And these are my vegetables for the few days over Christmas, so I don't have to be stressing about cooking and dashing around. I can sit and enjoy the company that we have in the house. So you just fry that off. I like a little bit of a bite in my Brussels sprouts. I don't like them, especially if I'm going to have them like this. I don't like them too mushy unless I'm having the puree. And then I'm going to add some Worcester sauce, not too much because the Worcester sauce makes it salty. And just fry them round just to heat up the sauce. And there we go, that's that one finished. Just put that on there. And again, you can have, it's nice to have different textures of vegetables for Christmas, or even on Sundays. If I was having carrot and sweet mash, I wouldn't have pureed Brussels sprouts because they're the same sort of texture. So I would go for something like this that has got a different texture to it. Just pop that there. Now my last bit is the one with the butternut squash. So in here, again, I've got my spray oil. Plenty of spray oil. And I'm going to add my garlic. Again, like I said, it's so handy having the garlic in the freezer. You don't have to worry about having smelly garlic hands or preparing it. It's already done for you. And then I'm going to add my quartered Brussels sprouts. And I'm going to fry those off. Excuse me. I'll pop them on the back. Speed them up a little bit. So it's about, I think it's, for me, I love vegetables, and it's about trying them different ways, because we can get fed up with having just plain Brussels sprouts, or we can get fed up with just having plain carrots. But it's about you know, jazzing them up a bit and having them with a bit more flavour or something a bit different in them, because I think we'll be more inclined. I'm more inclined to eat vegetables if they're a bit different. No, you know, because you don't want carrots and peas every week. So it's trying to do something different with them. Again, without making them don't want to add too many sins by adding the butter or adding any oil or cream. So you fry those off. It's just to add flavour, because by frying them it does add a little bit of flavour. And then you add your stock, and they actually cook in the stock. The Brussels sprouts start to cook in the stock, and the stock gives them a lovely, lovely flavour. Just move those around. I'm just going to check the butternut squash in the oven, because I just want it caramelised. Oh, it's nearly there. Just want it caramelised, but we don't want it burnt. Just move your sprouts around. Again, investing in a good frying pan is definitely worth it, because you don't have to worry about stuff sticking to the pan. And your Brussels sprouts are going to cook it in the stock. So you cook it away until the stock goes, because if not, it's too runny and it's a bit mushy. We don't want it like that. You want to almost dry it off, so cook the stock off it. Brussels sprouts are so good for us. They're full of vitamins. Any of the green vegetables are very good for us. They're full of vitamins. And it can be difficult to get our younger people to eat vegetables. So trying different ways. Mine like bacon, so by adding bacon it might encourage them to eat the Brussels sprouts. I wouldn't bank on it, but you know. And then I'm just cooking off. It's a good way of using up waste as well. If you had Brussels sprouts left over on Christmas Day, you could always chop them up and fry them with some bacon and onions, or with the butternut squash, so you wouldn't have any waste, but using them up that way. So my stock is just about cooked off there. And then I'm going to get my butternut squash out of the oven. Like I said, it doesn't take long to cook. I'm going to add, because I've chopped it up small, I'm going to add that to the pan just to finish it off. You can see those lovely colours. I love the colours. They look like little bits of jewel in with the butternut squash. And then just fry them off. And there we've got our third one. So we've got butternut squash fried with Brussels sprouts in vegetable stock. We've got our red onion, garlic and crispy bacon with shredded sprouts with Worcester sauce, and then one of my favourites. I know it doesn't look very nice, but it's absolutely delicious. You've got your Brussels sprout puree with your Greek yogurt and fresh nutmeg. Thank you everyone for joining me, and watch out for my next video, which will be garlic potatoes with only 2 sins a portion. Thank you, bye bye.